Hello, so I don't know how much memory I've got left on my phone. It should keep on recording, so it should be okay, but I don't know. Yeah, it's like raining a lot right now, but you know, I thought I'd come outside and I've just been like walking down the field just thinking about some stuff. And I'm just gonna try and go through some of the thoughts I was having. Um, yeah, so I can't remember where I started, but the last thought I had, I was just walking down this little path here. Ow. And I was like, because it's raining, I was like, there's probably bugs in the grass who are having a completely different experience to the rain that I'm having. Like, I'm voluntarily putting myself out here to be exposed to the rain, but this is their habitat, this is their home, so that, imagine how much of an impact that must have on them. Like, like being the same size as a rain droplet and just seeing these big drops coming, falling down and hitting them on the head and things like that. It's like, wow. It's like we don't have that problem as much. We have like, yeah, we get wet, but it's not like we're the same size as the thing that's hitting us. And like that's fucking mad, isn't it? It's like it's all about perspective. It is raining so much. Yeah. And I was thinking about I've been watching Jordan Peterson a lot, and I know I've mentioned that in one of my videos, but he's someone who I enjoy watching on YouTube because he admits that he doesn't know that what he's saying is true, and he admits that he doesn't have all the answers, but he still speculates about things, and he's not claiming anything to be absolute, he's not claiming anything to be completely true, and I think that's a great thing, because he said something earlier that like really resonated with me, and it was he gets this thing in his head where he tells himself, okay, what you're saying isn't true, and it's like a negative criticizing voice, and then he gets this other feeling that he should say it anyway, and it's like, which one should you listen to? And this guy's he's an academic psychologist. He's like extremely, I guess, high up in the academic world, and yeah, like the fact that he gets some thoughts too, what does that say about human nature? It's like no matter how much knowledge you get, you still don't know anything. And that's freaking great. It's like I always feel like I'm trying to strive for this definite knowing, but I don't feel like in this world you can know anything for definite at all. Because it's a transient world, everything's always changing in this world. And if you were to know something for definite in a changing world, apart from the fact of knowing that everything is going to change, I guess that's something you can know for definite. It wouldn't be true, would it? That would be like ignorance. It's like I could say I know what this field looks like, but I know what this field looks like at this point in time, but this isn't always going to look the way it does, because the grass is always growing. Sometimes it might die, sometimes it might, I don't know, sometimes the cows might eat all the grass, sometimes the cows might shit on it, and it's constantly changing, and you can't know anything in a changing world. But that's arguable, because I guess you could look at some aspects of science and more likely maths, like the Fibonacci sequence, because these things seem to be definite. They seem to be locked in place, like some sort of that, like they have some sort of intrinsic truth, and we're able to just apply them to the universe, I guess. So that really makes me question, what is going on? Like, what's actually happening? Maybe it's because the mathematics is like the laws of the universe. It's like it's the micro scale of everything that's going on, and that doesn't change. But I honestly don't know. I can try and speculate about this, but I really don't know. I'm not versed enough in physics and maths and all these different academic studies to be able to have an opinion. I don't feel like I'm just me. I'm just a person stood in a field trying to work out what this is about, just talking about life, talking about my experience. Like, I can only ever really be sure of my experience, and that's like solipsistic, I guess, where like, because I can make a reasoned decision that, or a reasoned judgment that other people are also having an experience on this planet based on my empirical evidence and based on my knowledge of my own experience. Why would I be the only being experiencing this? Like, I know that I interact with other conscious beings, so I'm able to derive from that other conscious beings are also interacting with me in the same way that I interact with them, and obviously not in the same way, not in exactly the same way, but in a similar way. Based on their human perspective, they're interacting with other people too, and they're having an experience on this planet. And yeah, you know what? We can't be certain of that. How do you know that this isn't all just a dream? It isn't all just an illusion? But I guess if you're basing, I guess if you base your knowledge on that idea that it is all an illusion and that nothing's really true, then what's the point? That's like saying you know life's a game. So why should you carry on playing? Because if you know it's a game, then it takes away the meaning, I guess. I love talking about things like this. There is a difference. Like, there's a difference between talking about something which is mundane, talking about just day-to-day things, and then talking about things that are actually deep, that actually make you think. And I guess that's philosophy, and it seems to have evolved throughout time. We've always had this select few people who want to ask deeper questions, who I guess gravitate towards that sort of lifestyle, and that's fucking interesting. Like that. Because let's go with the theory of evolution. Obviously, I believe in the theory of evolution, but I can't say it's absolutely true. But we were once animals, and we've evolved far enough alongside every other species on the universe. When it all started from the same point, the same Big Bang, or the same, I don't know, the same reaction and the same molecules, and we're the creatures who seem to be the most advanced. Based on our abilities and based on our, I guess, I don't know exactly, but we are distinguishable from other creatures. Like, you couldn't really compare a cow to a human. A cow is not able to use reason or logic in the same way that we are. And I don't know about emotions. Maybe cows are able to feel deep emotions for one another and empathy, but it seems like we are different, and that's pretty fucking cool. And maybe that's just chance. Maybe, I don't know. Like, had things. Maybe it was inevitable that from the moment that this all started, and like the small pieces of dust and the microbes started evolving. Maybe it was inevitable that we had the advantage. Maybe it was always going to be the humans who got to the point where we are now, and not any other species. I don't know. Maybe it was something that happened along the evolutionary track that caused our evolution to speed up over other species. Like, because I'm guessing we haven't always been at the top of the food chain, and at the top of the hierarchy, I guess. But something happened which put us there. It's like maybe we had these certain ideas, or maybe it was like, because Terence McKenna talked about psychedelics causing us to evolve much quicker than any other species because it taught us this higher truth. And like I can sort of see where he's coming from, because I could see how psychedelics like mushrooms and things like that would speed along the evolutionary process for a species. And yeah. And maybe other species, they probably ate the magic mushroom, but because of the way their brains were wired and because of the way their brains had evolved, it didn't fit into their brain in the same way. It didn't have the same sort of reaction. So they didn't get the same sort of knowledge from it, and they didn't evolve, I guess, as quickly. And obviously this is all just speculation. I don't know anything. I'm just trying to figure it out. Yeah. I think it's important not to give up, I guess, because like we could become very nihilistic about this, and it's like, well, if we can never know anything and we don't know the meaning of life, is there a meaning of life? Is there any point to this? Why don't we all just kill ourselves? But because we're going to die one day anyway. We could be extremely nihilistic about it, but that's just one perspective, isn't it? You can look at this from a multitude of different perspectives. And I guess it's which one's going to give you the best experience throughout life. And that doesn't necessarily mean make you the happiest, but it's just the one that's going to, I guess, live the most fulfilling life. So I guess that could encompass happiness and pleasure and things like that. But are those really the most important things? Because if we were always happy, then we wouldn't be growing. We wouldn't have any reason to change ourselves and progress. So perhaps sometimes we need to feel, I guess, down on ourselves to be able to move forward in life. And I think that's a really important part about being a person, like having that desire to, I guess, change and grow. And I know not all people have this desire. I guess we're all different, and we're all brought here to do different things. And that I guess that sounds like there's a God. We've all got some sort of purpose, but you know, I guess I feel like we assign ourselves a purpose, and yeah, we have to try and, I don't know, live the best sort of life we can, because we're finite. We're not going to live forever in this body anyway. I can't talk about life after death because that's completely crazy stuff, but it might be true, I don't know. Yeah, like some things I'm certain of is I'm having this experience. I know I'm having this experience. I know I can see things around me. I have this like depth perception of the world, or this perceptual, I don't know, thing which allows me to sort of like interact with the objects around me. And that also suggests that, like, it's so crazy because like things like this, like I see it as the way it is. I see it that way in the camera too. But an animal could be seeing this in a completely different way and having a completely different experience of the world. And isn't that fucking crazy? But I guess it's important not to get too caught up on that idea, because if we get too caught up on that idea, then I guess we'll forget to live the human experience, because at the end of the day, all we can ever have of this life is a human experience. We can't experience life from the perspective of a fly or a spider. And even if we could, would that really help us in the long run? Maybe it would help us answer some questions as to what is truly going on here. But yeah, like, would it really benefit us that much? I don't know. Like, it's so crazy how things are just seem to be progressing forward and moving on. And yeah, like scientifically, and it's like humans have occupied the planet for so many years. Like, I think it's hundreds of thousands of years humans have been here, and only in the last few, like 2 or 3 centuries, have things really started to actually pick up technologically. I think it was called the Renaissance, when the Age of Enlightenment or something, when science really started picking up. And yeah, I guess we were able to get different experiences of the world, which caused society in general to become much more secular and less religious in a way. And I guess it's because we had evidence, we had strong empirical evidence which opposed our religious beliefs. And if someone's, I guess, shown this sort of evidence, shown this, I guess if someone's shown something which is truer than what they already believe, then it's so hard to be able to hold on to that belief. And that's causing society to change so much. And I think it is a part of this secularization that society carries on progressing, because we're not so confined to just saying, oh, it was God and we shouldn't question that. We shouldn't question God because we'll go to hell. People aren't believing in that as much anymore. So we're able to actually step outside of these biblical rules and these religious rules and actually start to question things and look for answers, and not just rely on what was written in a book thousands of years ago. And I think there is a lot of truth to the Bible, and I think there is a lot of truth to religion, and religions are really freaking interesting things. But at the end of the day, these organised religions, they're really, I guess, indoctrinating people and controlling people's minds. Like, it confines you to that sort of perspective, and you're not able to step outside and look outside of it. And I think that's problematic. Some of the values that religions teach are great, and I reckon at the time of religion starting, like, let's talk about Jesus for a minute. Jesus was this guy. He didn't want a religion building around him. He was just this guy. He was a wise guy. He knew some things. He was a deep thinker, and people started to idolize him. And and over time, hundreds of years later, after stories had been passed down, I just heard something. So stories had been passed down about this guy Jesus, and people started to worship him, and then a whole religion formulated around this guy, when in reality this guy, he was just trying to, like, I guess, enlighten people and show people truth. And yeah, I guess that's what happens though, isn't it? Because not everyone can see things from that perspective. Like Jesus, he was probably someone who he knew God. Let's just say that Jesus knew God. But there's a difference between knowing God and being told about God. Like knowing God and knowing of God. So most people who are religious nowadays, they know of God. They've been indoctrinated into this religion and made to believe that there's this man in the sky who controls everything. He writes the rules. We have to obey him. We have to pray to him. We have to worship him. We have to do all this shit. But I think that's just a means of control. But then there's knowing God, and that comes about when you've had a religious experience, when you've had some sort of experience which has really brought you closer to, I guess, the essence of what's really going on this planet. And that's a fucking magical experience. Like, personally, I've had religious experiences. I've had things which have really shown me something way deeper than anyone could ever comprehend. And it's not something you can teach someone. You can't teach someone how to become enlightened. You can't teach someone how to, I don't know, it's just a different sort of knowing. It's like a noetic sort of thing, or a, yeah, I don't know. It's just a different sort of knowing. It's not something you can be taught with words or a book. It's something you have to experience. It's like an experiential knowing. I don't know if that's a word. And a knowing through experience, and not a knowing based on being taught something. Yeah. Okay. Anyway, I think I'm going to end off that video there because I've been talking for like 17 minutes, and yeah, I've had fun. Still haven't got any closer to figuring out the meaning of life or any of that stuff, and I doubt I ever will, but that's okay because I'm speculating. I'm exercising my mind that I've got something stuck in my throat, which is okay. Yeah, thanks for watching. If you've enjoyed, leave a like. If you're new, subscribe. Bye!